range lows just yet, right? Also didn't reclaim this H4 200 here. So that's what I'm personally, like, would be my confirmation for USD dominance going slightly higher. Actually, wait. I forgot to share my screen. There we go. Alright, hopefully you can see my screen, right? Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, I was saying, right, confirmation for me would be on USD dominance. Like, I would say breaking above this high. We wouldn't want that if you're bullish, right? Because that would be acceptance back into the range, and also pretty much would be flipping like daily structure convincingly to the upside then. So what would that look like on Bitcoin? That would look like that would be us losing essentially like 70.5k low. For me personally, like, I'd argue this is like the must hold level at the current minute on Bitcoin. So bulls step in, came in to protect the structure here. I wasn't when we were here, like, there was a clean long trigger. I remember there was a like, it was lower time frame, but it was still pretty clean, like a sweep of the lows, and then a 5 minute breaker structure from like this high here. So that would have been a nice long entry, but this was like 1 a.m. my time, right, when that happened. But what I'm watching for now is like whether we'll hold structure to the upside. So I'll give you an example, right? Like, I would have argued that on this down candle here, H4 structure broke, right? However, yesterday on that rally up, right, on that retrace up, we ended up like re-breaking structure because we ended up closing above this high here. So that was kind of like my confirmation, like, okay, we might see potentially a little bit higher, and I'll probably look for continuation as long as we hold like these levels here. We don't want to go back to these lows. That would be actually pretty bearish. So yeah, for me, I'll be watching for, well, let me see if there's a live trade here. I'll take it. One sec. We did sweep these lows, but the annoying thing is, how high is this? Yeah, I mean, so basically, this is pretty. If we get like a new low, right, from here, I'll probably, and if we sweep that, I'll probably look to long this. Not gonna lie, I would long that if it happens, but only if it's a sweep, right? If we close under this level, I won't long, because then it wouldn't be valid. We just need wicks under this level here. Otherwise, this doesn't look that great. For now, it's holding though. Wait, let me just remove these drawings. Yeah, so if we do something like this, wait, I'll show you. Let me remove that. Okay. Another sweep, and then this is sort of like the structure I'll look for, is a high, a low, and then we break structure here. So that's what I'll be waiting for a long, right here, this similar structure. But right now I'm not setting any limits or anything. It will be like a scalp trade most likely, and then we'll target. I was looking to target, actually, let me see, on my intraday chart I've got the levels. We got a CME gap right all the way till, I believe it's this high, around this high here, yeah. So I believe, yesterday we got like stopped out on that Trump news, which is really annoying, but otherwise we would still be in this trade, right? But like I'm looking for a re-entry around these levels. I'm just waiting for a little bit more of confirmation. We do have a nice sweep here, but like I said, I'm waiting for potentially a deeper one, maybe even take out like this low here. We'll see, right? That's like my lower time frame thoughts. I want to scalp this level on Bitcoin. High time frame, I think honestly, I might potentially leave because this right here, the level we tapped into, this is like supply here, so I can mark this whole out, and you know, I think what I'd say is I might set a limit for something like this on Bitcoin. So I'll put a limit like probably like slightly above that high there. And like potentially this would be like a limit trade that I would probably actually alert. So, but I'll give it to you guys here as well. Hold on, let me make this a little bit better. Probably put stops a little bit wide like this. And then, I mean, I'll probably aim, TP1 will probably be around 2R, but my target would be like this low here. So something like this, right? But you know, just to make this easy, I'll get rid of this thingy here. Like something like this, right? I'll look to take that. I'll drop this in chat as well. And then I'll look for like, hold on, let me turn these price levels off so you guys can see it a little bit easier. I'll probably look to long to that level if we like get a sweep like this, and but I'll definitely trim around like the edge of the CME gap once we do fully fill it. So yeah, the long right now is just an idea for another sweep, but this could be a valid limit order short into supply, right? So like a liquidity sweep of this previous week high here, and I think it would at least give a reaction, in my opinion. You can't hear me? I mean, it says I have sound. Hold on. It's weird. I hope you can hear me now. I didn't even see the chat before. Hold on. Hold on, I left and rejoined, so hopefully you can hear me now. It said my mic was working on my end. Hold on. Perfect. Yeah, so the long, I'll explain a little bit again, right? So the long trade, like I want to see one more sweep to take out this wick, and if it's an SFP, right, like no closes below, I'll probably look to long that. And for the short, like it's a risky short, but I mean, I think it's one of those plays where like if you don't see a reaction, you could probably get away with kind of quick. But in my opinion, I think we'll definitely see at minimum a reaction. The idea is like we go to sweep previous week high, like similarly to like back here where we kept sweeping the highs and it was really annoying. But like I would have saved myself if I just like kept a limit order above the previous like sweep high candle, instead of just like waiting for the sweep and then entering after like confirmation. I could have just, you know, left the limit there and then saved myself quite a bit of ammo, right? So That's like my long and short term idea on Bitcoin. Um, I'll also look at Sol. Sol to me looks not great, to be honest. It's Bitcoin's already put in like a new high, right? And Sol hasn't even. Sol's still in the range. Sol's not looking too good. I think short term idea, I'd like to short Sol if it comes into this 786. So the level would be like 88, 89. I think it would at least see a rejection from like I'd say 90 all the way down to like 88, somewhere in between this region. If you don't want to leave a limit in, you can just wait for like, whatever your trigger would be, a breaker structure or whatever. But yeah, I think this level lines up nicely with that, like this little. I would consider this like a lower time frame range. So you got at this level point of control 786, and right above you got like the value area high of this whole range here. So the high time frame value area high as well. My stops would be like above this wick because I think if Bitcoin goes for another push, like think about it, right? Recently Bitcoin has been like this, presumably with seller buying, right? But Sol is kind of like, it grinded up, but it's now going like kind of sideways. It's not really doing much. It's very weak relative to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does go on a rally to like 81, 82K, which I don't know, it could happen, right? It's possible. I don't think I don't think Sol puts in a crazy new high. So it's very relatively weak right now. So we can probably look at Sol Bitcoin, and it would probably be doing like lower highs. Yeah, I mean, look at this. It's not really. It looks like shit, to be honest. The structure, ETH Bitcoin, it looks a lot better. ETH Bitcoin. Well, I mean, relatively better. I think ETH still like putting daily higher highs and higher lows, whereas like Sol Bitcoin, it's been kind of just lackluster to the downside, right? Very big difference between the two, Ethereum and Solana. And at least Ethereum actually put in a new high, right? So lower time frame. I want a long on Ethereum, but I don't. I want to wait first till we reclaim like 2350 is my level, and say like we get above this level, right, and then get some sort of like whatever sweep or any sort of like long trigger, like that's where I'm gonna long essentially, with my stops below this zone here. Like this is a lower time frame supply zone here, or order block, whatever you want to call it. And I would long Ethereum to probably to target this high here. So let me remove this for a second. I think if 100% of Bitcoin makes a new high, this will also follow. Unlike Solana, where it would most likely do a lower high, right? So yeah, let me drop like this idea. It's just an idea, right? This isn't obviously not a limit trade, right? So I'm currently waiting for that on Ethereum because it's kind of just stuck under this zone right now. I'll also drop Solana. Also Hyperliquid, we'll talk about that as well, because I mean it's been pulling back quite a bit, but depending on how the daily candle closes, I don't think it's a bad long. But it really depends. Also drop this. So let's see, Hyperliquid. Right. So holy shit, we're at the level now actually. So I was thinking about this long. Oh, it just front running me. Like I honestly think like you could long hyper like right now. Either here or like wait for like the H4 200 EMA. But if you don't want to be front ran. So the idea is, here's my thesis. This is the first time like we've seen the H4 200 EMA tapped since 7th of April. So it's been over 2 weeks since this has been tapped, and it's finally getting retested. Losing that, I would be pretty. I wouldn't. I wouldn't like that too much, to be honest, because that would lead me to think it would stop out. But you know, I would expect at least like we get some sort of bounce around this area, right? Like this was this here was like must hold level at $40. Also like what is this also? It's like at the demand zone here as well. And if I look, if wait, let me go on my Bybit chart. This is also like value area high of this like previous consolidation here. It's a little bit below it now, but still it's like within the same area, right? So like I said earlier, I personally want to wait to see how the daily candle closes. But I don't think the risk to reward is bad here for a long, honestly. Even though it does look, structure looks pretty bad on the 4 hour, but we don't have like a structure break on the daily yet. So, I mean, on the daily it still looks fine. This just looks like another pullback. For now. So yeah, we'll see. If you got the bulls, you can long here right now. But honestly, I would probably cut it if we get like, if we just start like slowly grinding down below here. I would probably, yeah, I don't think this is bad long. I was thinking about a long like right at the H4 200, so like 39.7. But I don't think we'll see that. It could just bounce here. We'll see. So yeah, kind of depends. Also, if you got me any altcoins you want me to look at, drop them in chat. I'll run through our TRX long. TRX is one of those coins where someone brought to my attention that this coin is like involved in some weird shit. So it does move very weirdly because it kind of, regardless of what Bitcoin is doing, it's just carries on its uptrend, right? Yeah, it is crime, 100%. So the reason why I longed is because like I was looking at the H4 and I'm like, holy shit. Most of these lows are like staying protected, right? Well, I say most of them, like two, like, you know, swing lows, like, throughout this, like, hold, like, uptrend, like, I think 3 or 2 were swept. So I'm like, hold on a minute, like, this is like the weirdest altcoin price action I've ever seen. So obviously I longed it, right? Like, I wouldn't usually long something that's already up this much, but you know, I don't think this is gonna stop anytime soon. I think it's one of those coins where it doesn't really, it doesn't give a shit what Bitcoin is doing. It just carries on its trend, right? So right now, you could argue like it's breaking out, but I mean, I just look at this as like a lower time frame. Like it's a swing trade-ish, right? We almost got stopped out break even, by the way, but that H1 EMA saved us, right? The H1 200. Hopefully we make a new high, and then I'll probably end up TPing like around 0.344 or something like that. But if we can get like those highs here, that would be great. Like if I wasn't in this position already, like I probably would have maybe after seeing like this H4 sweep here of like these two lows here, right, 1, 2, and we close above, like back above both of them, that could have been like another entry here, but I was already in, so I didn't see any need to add to the position. But if I was really bullish, then yeah, I would have definitely added. Like I've tried a setup like this before, but it didn't work, so I don't usually try these setups. It's only when like I think the setup is really, it was just, I think this was like one of those special cases of a coin, because I tried this exact same setup on BNB and it didn't work out too great. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know, it might go back and stop us out to break even, but if it does like flip to back to bearish structure, and then I'm seeing like signs of bottoming, kind of like, I don't know, something like this, right, where like break structure temporarily but then eventually like reclaims levels, I'll definitely keep an eye on it if it does something like that for another long. But for now we're just staying put, not adding anything to this trade or changing it at all. All right, let's talk about some like swing shorts. So so if we get this level on Ethereum, sorry, on XRP, I would love to short this. I don't really think it goes back to this like previous, I mean, if you can even call this a range. I would like to, I look at it as a range, because we had a low here, then we rallied to here, then we swept the range low, and then we fucking rallied again, right? So I would look at this as a range. I don't think we get back into that range. So if we do get like anywhere in this like supply, like lower time frame supply zone there, right? I would love that as a short, which would also be like the 786 from like that like daily high up there at, what is this, 1.94, so like just before $2 is where I've pulled that fib from. I'll post it in chat. I don't know if we get this, I have no idea, but it is like a swing short I'm looking at. Swing long idea, I'm not too much of a fan of swing long in this coin. I'm not too bullish on it, but you know, I mean, I've seen worse coins. This doesn't look horrible. Like just looking at it right now, it's right under value row high. So I mean, structure wise, it looks better than Solana. But you know, it's not something I'd want to risk money on. I know some people would probably draw a trend line like this and then argue like it's gonna break out. I mean, maybe, but if it does like break out in, you know, quotation marks, I would love for it to just create a lower high into here, and then yeah. To be honest, even if it just does this and then whatever, makes like a higher low or whatever, at least like once we've, you know, once we like see the reaction, we can go break even, right? So that's what I'll be waiting for if Bitcoin decides to make another push higher. BNB similar setup as well. Although BNB is like, looks pretty far away when you look at it on this chart, but on the daily, I don't think it's impossible. I mean, thing with BNB is like this, it pretty much crashed pretty hard, but I still think this could maybe hit in like if we get like a bigger rally on Bitcoin in the near future. I'll post a setup in chat. I don't know if we get it, but you know, stops like stops 856, entry around like, you know, the high 700s is where I'd be looking at, like a lower high on BNB. I would also say, right, on BNB is where like 357 is where I'd want to probably start buying spot, or like at least build a swing long. Anywhere from really look for like from like 450 to 400, you know, I think this is a pretty big area here. Like higher time frame wise, you know, this is like the 786 from the last cycle high. Sorry, from the last cycle, from the bear market low to the cycle to this cycle's high, right? So like around anywhere around this 786, I think would be a pretty good spot buy. Every cycle, I think BNB's been slept on. Like I remember in 2024, no one gave a shit about this coin. It was all about Solana and like Ethereum partially, right? But this ended up doing like, I don't know, like from the summer lows in 2024. I mean, Jesus, this went pretty insane, right? Like 240%, and that's from like, that's not even from like the bear market low. That's from like the summer of 2024 when like we had that little crash on alts. This went pretty crazy. Like if you had just started building a spot bag right in this range here. So that's kind of I hope we you know, come down here, build a range, and this is where you like accumulate on like whatever alts you want, right? That's kind of my idea on everything. I do think like the next leg down will be the bottom. So yeah. And then we'll look at Doge as well. Let me look at Doge. Yeah, so Doge is, I think this would be a nice POI, 618. Like I don't think it goes back all the way. This here was, I think it was news. It was a news candle, I just don't see it going back up there unless something crazy happens. So that's why I'm not like planning to short here. I think that's like too overextended. So that like the level for me to short would be taking out this, even like right now, like this looks a bit like far-fetched, but if we do get it, like I think that would be a great short as well. So like 0.1063. But like if you had to long this, then I do see a clean setup, which is if we, one sec, if we swipe them equal lows here, so we had a low there and a low here which got really close but I didn't quite sweep. I would put stop like a long entry right there. Your end value is going to be like below this like I'd say a daily close below here, but like just for safety purposes we'll put our stop there, right? And then you target like the other side of the range. I mean 2.62R, it's not the best risk to reward. If you tighten it up a little bit, you can make it 4R, right? Or if you aim for like the extreme, I don't know if we get that, but you know, it would be, you would at least take off some value area high is what I would say. So hold on, let me actually label this. That's like my long setup for Doge, but the short setup, I would put stops so like essentially like as close to this wick as possible, even though I don't think it hits. So yeah. And let me, my old swatch list isn't very big, but if you guys got any, just let me know. Link, I'll look at this as well before I hop off here. Link, it is still in a range just like every other alt. Nothing special. Honestly, was, wait, hold on. Yeah, this was a sweep here. Okay, I was just checking because if that was equal highs, I would have definitely looked to probably like target that as a long. Sorry, as a short. If we do go back up to those highs, I would probably do something like this. I mean, I just don't really see. Hold on. I just have to build a pretty wide inval, unfortunately, just because I don't really see any clean. I'll put it up, I'd say above those highs there. Wait. Actually, no. I think this would be cleaner, to be honest. I think the risk to reward is better here. So, I don't know if we get that. But if we do, it's like right above the golden pocket. So, I think that's way better risk to reward, right? For like at least targeting these lows here. Hold on. I think that makes more sense in my opinion. So, wait, let me turn the labels on. So like at 10.5, like we got that like supply zone. And if we do get like just a sweep of this level here into the golden pocket, that could also be like a short trigger for if this doesn't fill right. So like if it does this, it like breaks structure before we even get the fill, I would also look to short that. So where I would enter is like the wherever it broke, like the low that broke, that got its like structure broken, right? That's where like my entry would be and my stops would be above the wick high that created the structure break, right? And then I would target like, I don't know, like VAL probably, because that's already like 4.7 R. If you wanted to be really greedy with it, you could get like a squeeze out like a 9 R if we do hit that, right? Let me extend this a little bit. I think that'd be clean. So if we don't get this, right? Let me make this more obvious. If we don't get that, then, and like a setup like this happens, that's probably what I would take. Let me make this clear that this is an MSP. There we go. So yeah, that's what I'd look for on Link, to be honest. But yeah.